Now that we have the CLI, let's make sure that we can generate an application. Inside the terminal, let's go to a folder that we can create an app in. I have a folder called Play on my machine. You can put it anywhere you'd like. While we haven't learned all the Angular CLI commands yet, we're going to skip ahead for just a moment just to make sure we can create an application. And we're going to run ng for the CLI, the command new to create a new app, and we're going to call it ng test, just like that. And then I'm going to give it a flag of -- skip install. Make sure you got all the dashes in there. This flag is going to tell the CLI not to run out to npm and install everything to your local machine. It'll give us the quickest and fastest installation of a new app. So we can run that, and you can see how quickly all of the files get created. Now you can see the actual files created right here in this list. Let's go into that folder. We'll do cd ng test. And then we can list out the files with the ls command, or dir for Windows, or we can open up our favorite editor. You can use any editor you like. I'm going to open up in Visual Studio Code because I happen to love that. And I have a shortcut on my machine called C, where I open up in VS Code in the current folder. Once we have that, we can see over here on the left-hand side all the files. We'll get rid of that welcome message here. And I'll use the command plus twice to make it a little bit bigger so we can look at it. Now you can see there's a bunch of files in the root. Here we have the Angular CLI's configuration file. That's a JSON file right there. We'll look more at this file in depth a little bit later in this course. Then there's an editor config, so we can set up our spacing right here, like indent size of 2. Anything you happen to like, you can put in there. And then there's a git ignore file, so it's ready for git. And all this stuff is ready out of the box for us. And then we have the package.json file, which shows us all the information about the dependencies and the scripts for our application. And then rounding things out down here, we have a README file, pretty standard for open source. We have a TypeScript configuration file, which is all set up and ready to go for Angular, and a TS-lint file to help lint our TypeScript. Now let's go inside of the source folder. And here there's a couple files we really want to pay attention to. First, we have an index.html. This is going to be the basic file that we browse to or that we serve up. And then we have a main.ts file. This is the file that kicks off all of Angular. And if you go inside the app folder, we can see we've got some components and some modules, and we're going to learn a whole lot more about what all these files do and how the files get generated. But I recommend this as a great starting point just to make sure that you can actually generate an app. Notice there's no node modules folder yet. That's because we didn't run the npm install command. Now if we go back to the package.json file down here, we can see all these dependencies for Angular animations and so on. And those versions of those packages will change based upon the version of Angular that you're using. And if you want to run the npm install after the fact, we can go back to terminal, and we can type in npm install, or just simply npm I for short. Either way, I is just an alias of install, and then it will actually install all those packages for us. Now we're not going to run npm install right now. We'll do that a little bit later. And now we've proved out that the CLI is installed and ready to roll.